Welcome to the Mental Breakdown, Jeffrey Waterman.
Thank you, Jake.
Welcome.
It's good to be here.
Cheers. Salute.
Cheers to
Before we get started, because before I have a fucking mental breakdown on the shit that I want to complain about, you first. What are your handles? What do you got coming up? This episode is coming out on the 4th of November, just in time for another last show, right?
Yes, indeed. So we're going to have a charity last show at the Oaks Tavern in Sherman Oaks on the 101 in Woodman, basically. And you should come on down. It's a musical comedy show, a variety show. Mr. Bassi will probably be there, and we're going to get some miserable, horrible things done to people, as is the base of any joy.
What's the charity for?
That's actually kind of a surprise, but it is benefiting a form of childhood cancer.
Oh, it's kind of a surprise?
It's kind of a surprise.
Some form of childhood cancer.
Some form of childhood cancer.
Okay, so yes. we won't give it away. It's like the fucking the lympho people are thinking like, please let it be me. Please let it be me. St. Jude's like, come on, like.
That's all people with cancer need is another surprise.
You got them on their toes now, man. they're gonna be laying in their beds waiting. Like, is it gonna be me? Am I gonna throw the first pitch at Fenway?
It's not exactly the Publishers Clearinghouse, but.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll try to raise a little money.
Oh, and I didn't tell you this before. The safe word is Patreon, so if names get named, if things come out that you're like, hey, edit that out, I will gladly edit that out and put it on the Patreon cut, which, by the way, if you want the dirt and early access to episodes of The Mental Breakdown, go to patreon.com/Jake L. Bassi. Give me a couple bucks, get exclusive content. The dirt will be uncovered. I had a guest on who she was like talking shit about her job, and I'm like, okay, let's not get you fired. So we'll do a little cut, snip, snap, and then it's all good. So
we'll cut and we'll come early.
So Patreon's Patreon's the safe word. I first have a complaint. Jeffrey, I got my election in the mail. I got my mail-in ballot. I intend on mailing in my vote because I work on Tuesdays and I hit a dispensary mic. Look at this shit. It is entirely in Korean. What do I do with this?
Take it to H-Mart, I guess.
Take it to H-Mart?
Yeah.
What do I don't... There's like the whole list, all the propositions, this whole information pamphlet. It's all in Korean.
It's kind of exciting. It's a diverse experience.
It's Kim Jong-un rigging the U.S. election. What is happening, Jeffrey? Like, what is happening? How am I supposed to get informed on the propositions, the XYZ? What do I do with this? I have to wake up early and do it in person. Subtitles. Yeah, this is fucking... I get the sticker. That's all
all that really matters, you know.
We want the sticker.
It's not how you voted. It's not if you voted. It's if you have a sticker and you post that sticker on social media.
You got to post a sticker.
Remember that, kids.
Yeah. What was it? The virtue signaling of like, oh, I voted. I'm like, no, you just got the sticker in the mail. You actually didn't do shit.
Yeah. I didn't go to a protest or anything. I don't have opinions, but I put a black square on my Instagram.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
Dude, that's part of the reason I got out in 2020. As shit got weird, and I saw a woman. She was doing like poster board poses with like her boyfriend or whatever, and she protested for like a total of 5 minutes for a photo shoot. And be like, oh look, I protested. Like, no you didn't.
Yeah.
No you fucking didn't.
Long enough to get a few angles.
Yeah, a few angles and then a couple of likes on the gram, and that's all that matters now.
Yeah.
It's all fake. It's all dumb, and I fucking hate it. It gives me a mental breakdown. God, I was... Ding!
Oh, the
logo's not there.
We'll fix it in post.
I'll put it. But that's a dreaded catchphrase. We'll fix it in post. Oh God, I always try to fix things in post. But what about you, man? What's going on in your life? What's giving you hell? What do you hate? What's your pet peeves?
Let's see. Where do we start? I mean, this is just going to be some minor shit, but. Yesterday, I came home from work to discover that my 2 broken down cars were both ticketed by my Karen of a neighbor. She had them ticketed in front of my house. So the city of Los Angeles is going to get a little more cash out of me. The city of Los Angeles has given me a bit of a pet peeve experience lately in general, so I'm actually trying to get on my way out.
2 broken down cars?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Do you not have a parking spot?
No parking spots in Reseda.
Boo!
No, yeah.
Boo!
It
Fuck
is what
Reseda.
it is, though. It is what it is. So yeah, right now most of my positive frustrations, if you will, are coming from trying to get back to school to go to culinary school, be more of a grown-up, you know what I mean?
Oh,
so
hell yeah.
Just normal life frustrations.
Normal life shit. Well, I mean, you kind of... Because you're you're doing bar shows. So, and that drink tickets don't exactly pay the bills, so you actually have to do something. I was talking to somebody about, oh my God, you actually have to work in this town to like live.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Nepo baby. Like, I'm sorry your parents are paying your bills and all that. You gotta grow up, buckle down, and like, dude, I manage a froyo shop. Like, I'm nobody. And people in like the comedy community, like, I feel like some people look up to me and just go like, oh, I want to do what you do. And I'm like, yeah, but what I do to do what I do, if that tracks, it's not, we all have our jobs and stuff, and we don't like flaunt that. But, like, oh, I'm bagging groceries, I'm working at a restaurant, and all that.
I'm over at Ralph's.
Yeah, or, I'm selling pictures of my feet on the internet, just everybody's doing fucking something. And culinary school, like, dude, I think that's recession proof because people need to cook.
Yeah.
People need to eat.
Yeah, and I love cooking for people more than I like eating, honestly. So,
I love
my
cooking.
love languages.
I love cooking for other people, but I hate cooking for myself.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same way?
No, I pretty much feel the same way. I like the process of cooking for myself, but if it comes to like, oh, I should do this because I have to eat, then it doesn't really happen.
Yeah.
It's more like, okay, I'm living off salami this week kind of thing.
You don't really prepare yourself like, a succulent Chinese meal. You don't.
No.
You don't do any of that.
Succulent, nothing. Absolutely not. I don't even water my succulents.
Just like soup out of the can. Don't even heat it up. Just
Yeah. I go on a kick of what I call feeding my inner child, but is actually just living off of Lunchables, Pop-Tarts, and SpaghettiOs, which were never good.
Oh no.
But, yeah.
Dude, I wouldn't even heat up the SpaghettiOs. I would just open the can, just eat it straight out. I wouldn't even heat it up.
Just do it Rorschach style.
Yeah,
human bean juice. Yeah.
It's like I'm not in a hurry to do anything, but I'm also like hungry and I don't want to like take the time to.
I'm not depressed. I'm camping.
I'm camping. Yeah. That's this fucking town, man. I had I had a guy on who eats nothing but chicken nuggets on the show, and I talked to him about like how his brain works with all that. He goes like, dude, they didn't have chicken nuggets at my college, so I ate only French fries. I'm like, no protein? What the fuck?
Couldn't find a supplement for the chicken nuggets.
There was no supplement for the chicken nuggets. So he's got a show. Joseph Paul, shout out Joseph Paul. His show is Tastes Like Chicken, and he's like trying like different foods for the first time. Guy had a peanut butter jelly sandwich for the first time as an adult grown man. And I'm just wow.
I dig it though. It's kind of like maybe it helps his creative process. Maybe it's like got like kind of a David Lynch thing where he was only eating like tuna fish and tomatoes and one cracker a day or something like that while he was writing Blue Velvet or something like. I think he might still be doing it. David Lynch, if you're watching. But yeah, I don't know. I think finding little bits of simplicity is kind of helpful for that.
Oh hell yeah!
Removing parts of the process, like doing the Doug Funny thing and just wearing the same clothes every single day. Not that I intend to, but. That kind of thing. Yeah. It's like the military make your bed every morning of it.
Oh, yeah. There's that whole like adage like, oh, if you messy place, messy mind. And I've lived with hoarders and, people that just get so sucked up into like, things like politics, activism. Like, cool, that's great. God bless you. But like at the cost of your fucking well-being. So like it's a balance that I'm constantly trying to figure out. So you're a comedian, you do comedy, have there been any like, challenging experiences where you've like turned, kind of like bad shit into jokes and it's kind of like, is this a blessing in disguise? When you discover the humor?
Sometimes. Sometimes I'm a little more cautious about that just because, the pool of people you can drag out to your lovely bringer shows in LA can be a little bit small. So we see what we can do, But I try to find, more stuff out of my own challenges in my personal life and my, brain goblins and things like that to mine comedy for, just in case. So, yeah, that would probably be more of my process. I would say that my first joke that I ever wrote that I told on stage a couple of years ago in a stand-up context was about a first date that I'd gone on.
First date, okay.
Yeah. And
I'm not moving closer. I'm just trying to get in the frame more.
We're getting snuggly.
Yeah, snuggly.
It makes it more intimate for the first date story. No, I'd had a first date back then, and I thought it was a first date, and it was not, just because a lot of what I find frustrating is just like that people are so presumptuous and carry so many of their assumptions, especially now post-pandemic, I feel like, into every conversation. It's speaking to what you were saying about living with people who live or die by their political ideology.
Yeah.
I feel like just like that tumultuous time, shall we say, to be stuck indoors, only being able to communicate with each other via comments was probably bad for that. So, there's a lot of assumptions about gayness. There's a lot of like more outward phobia happening everywhere, even in LA.
100%, yeah. Very shocking, yeah. Yeah, this is a very like, I grew up here. This is my hometown, and I mean the '90s was, everyone was like, "Oh, that's so gay." Like it was like looked at as like it was frowned upon, and yet everybody was fucking gay, dude. Like everybody was gay. Everybody was, or what was called metrosexual back then. Guys were wearing crop tops in the '90s and like the earring thing.
Yeah,
and yet there was like this culture war happening inside the bubble.
Yeah, it's like you have that, and then you have like Ellen and Will and Grace and stuff. So it's like the most gay time and the least. It was the gayest of times. It was the straightest of times. That kind of thing going on.
Rosie O'Donnell came out, and it's like, oh, her marriage was illegal, but like, oh, thousands of people watched her show.
Yeah.
I think people just hate watch.
I think they do.
People just hate watch shit. It's like, oh, they're so fucking gay, and I hate it. What are they doing? Like,
yeah, there's a degree of satisfaction.
Doesn't that make you a little bit like? Curious, at least.
It's something they have to explore, I think. They have to, they have things to dig up about themselves. But I think people forget most of us of a certain age grew up watching Bugs Bunny and things like that, and just like casual drag and things like that.
Yeah,
and there's an inherent queerness to culture in general.
And that's been around for decades.
Yeah, Rocky Horror, is considered like sort of fairly normative now. So it's like
fairly normative now. Yeah, I guess. I mean, it was okay. So that movie came out in like the '70s. So I guess it was. I guess you could call it like shock humor back in the day.
Yeah.
If you were watching it for the first time back then.
Yeah.
But now, like, it's got this huge following.
And these people who train their kids, or not train their kids, raise their kids to.
Indoctrinating their kids.
Yeah, they were just like locking them up and Ludovicoing them with the Rocky Horror Picture Show. These people who are like conservative parents that were like watching become Trumpy during the pandemic. My own parent was kind of like that, and had to be retaught, retrained, sort of de-brainwashed. But conversion camp, if
Conversion camp? Oh, God.
But those people were like the teens who were going to the Rocky Horror Picture Show initially. That kind of made it a thing. They were showing up in lingerie. It's like that Footloose aspect to it, where it's like, oh, you're afraid, you want to ban dancing, but you've never danced in your life, that kind of thing,
Right,
It's strange. It's just a cycle of contradictions.
Yeah, I know. It's just, I think Y2K should have happened.
Yeah, it would have been nice.
It's just been fucking downhill from here, man. Like, it's just been, 'cause we're around the same age, I think. I'm 33.
Yeah, I'm 34.
Okay, so we're in the same ballpark. So, like, when 9/11 happened, like that, we were grown enough to kind of be aware of what happened, but the conspiracy theory door just cracked wide open, and we began not trusting our government. And, everything that came after that, Iraq and like Hurricane Katrina, just all this bad shit is just happening at once. And now our generation, I feel, has a major distrust in the government. And, there's people that went the QAnon route. And they're just like, oh, they don't trust the government so much that they're willing to believe or enter the thought of like any crazy shit, and people's mental health are just fucking spiraling downward.
It's like kind of literally and metaphorically like having an alcoholic brother. It's just like this is like watching the country happen. It's just kind of like, you're just kind of like hope for the best because you're like sort of entangled with this thing for life, but all by the same time you're just watching everything happen. You're just like just like a lot of sighing, just like a lot of again, oh really? I thought you could do better than this,
Yeah. Do you feel like, because we want to be informed, but it competes with the ability to stay sane, and I've said this on other episodes before, like, do you find like when stuff is happening in the news in general, and you have a show that week, you're like, we got to do topical stuff because everybody's thinking about it. Do you go there, or do you just kind of like let the show be escapism?
I kind of let the show be escapism.
That's
I think,
good.
like I have had some rare exceptions to this, less current events, but, talking of 9/11, I did Jenna Nickerson's Hype Girl comedy at the Oaks Tavern.
Hype Girl, yeah.
Yeah, I did that in 9/11 last year, and she specifically wanted me on there to do some sort of 9/11 humor a little bit. So I threw a little bit in there just to like kind of play with expectations just because people were thinking about it. But I don't think I think you for topical humor, it's not mutually exclusive, but I think people watch like The Tonight Show or Jimmy Kimmel or something like that for that. I think that kind of like whiz-bang humor. When you try to do topical humor, I often feel like if I try to come up with a joke, and maybe it's a personal failing, but that joke's already been said in the social media stratosphere like 50,000 times within the first 5 minutes. And I think, that that's like kind of like feeds into that, what you were speaking of about trying to stay informed and just like information being everywhere all the time. It's like the response is there immediately. So no, I wouldn't say I try to skew towards too much topical humor just because I feel like it's everywhere. It's just like, if things go poorly in November, then, or if things go poorly this month as you're watching this.
Yeah. I don't know, dude.
Days.
Harambe.
Yeah.
I'm writing in Harambe. Look, because as of right now, as of this very moment, it's what day is it? It's October 9th. I'm low key undecided. Like we all got to make a choice, and I'm gonna vote on the local stuff because the local stuff matters. But my mom's a hippie, and she didn't vote for like 50 years. She voted McGovern when it was McGovern and Nixon in the 70s, and then she just didn't do any of that until 2016, until it just became like a high stakes kind of deal.
Yeah.
Because she was always complaining like, the voting and just all the bitching and moaning about it, and yet she didn't vote. So I'm like, Mom, if you're gonna complain and not vote, you complaining kind of makes it moot, So let's go vote. Let's go do that. She cries herself to sleep. 2016, as I'm sure a lot of people did.
Yeah.
But now I'm checked out. I'm like, fuck, dude. Like, Biden quit, and we just kind of swung in Kamala, and none of us even like voted on it. It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
So it feels shadow government-y, in my opinion. It feels a little shadow government-y.
Yeah.
But everyone's rallying for Kamala because it's not Trump. I'm like, okay, I get that. But I'm a man, and if I say anything that's against Kamala, oh no, I'm a misogynist. Oh no, I'm a racist. But there's like other shit that's like she just kind of got thrown in.
Yeah,
and it feels a little
of how we've learned to communicate is that you're immediately. It's like those who aren't with me are against me. There's no gray matter in there at all.
Right.
There's no room for exploring it. There's no room really for rational conversation with anybody. A liberal will refuse to speak to a conservative now. Today's show is sponsored by Finger Quotes.
There's no Ross Perot really to like buffer it. Like it's really tight. It's really fucking tight. And I think I remember hearing a story that 6,000 people in LA County wrote in Harambe just for the memes. Just because people were so fucking checked out. Like, I don't care. I don't care. But, like, those votes could have swung in either direction to make it seem more clear. But, I don't know, man. I don't know. It just feels it's too weird. It's just too weird for me right now.
Yeah, it's hard not to be checked out, too. I mean, honestly, after constantly, the place I was living in 2020, the television was constantly on to either MSNBC or CNN, and it was just or BBC, and it was just a constant influx of that news cycle, and just like it's hard not to be checked out, even though we're right back to the new season, return of the same villain kind of thing.
Return of the same villain, for sure.
It's just hard not to be checked out of this cartoon show.
And The Apprentice, like dude, it used to be like it used to feel like it was serious. Like we've never been more unserious about it. Like the internet wins every fucking time. Internet wins every time. And like when it was Obama and Mitt Romney, like they would actually agree, both of them together, on one fucking thing. And it was like, oh my god, we can actually reach across the aisle and be in the middle. But now I'm like I'm politically non-binary. I'm fucking homeless at this point. Like I don't fucking know. And I'm just. It puts my panties in a twist, Jeffrey. It puts my fucking panties in a twist. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Honestly, for self-care, the checkout might be the most ideal move in some cases, in many cases.
Oh, yeah. And, with local stuff, we care about the jobs, the rent, and all that shit. And everybody cares and doesn't care at the same time. It's fucking wild. Which brings me to my next question. Is there a mental breakdown that you're willing to share with us? Like, when was your last, like I quit moment.
Let's see. My last I quit moment. I probably won't get too much into the specifics of it. But,
You don't have to.
As a card-carrying emo boy, I've dabbled in the self-harm over, since my teenagehood. For many years it's gone away and stuff like that, so it's not really that omnipresent. But a few months ago, I had a little bit of a breakdown pertaining to my personal life, just some lovelorn issues and nonsense like that. So, it was just stress on top of stress on top of stress. I've been struggling with sobriety. I am 5 months sober.
Oh, congrats, man! Congrats! Thank you. That's congratulations. 5 months.
Yeah, in 3 days it'll be 5 months, and it hasn't been a struggle, but I think you're sober as well. Well, California, Portland sober.
Portland sober, just heroin. Yeah.
But that comes with its own different stressors, and you kind of like get to a point where you're like, well, it's better that I cut a little bit than I drink. So it's like, yeah, that was my most recent thing. And sometimes it manifests as like comedy, or I used to want to really like write, like do novels and things like that. So sometimes I'll fall back to that. But yeah, just finding the name of my game right now is finding different healthier coping mechanisms.
For sure. I haven't had a drop of booze in 7 years, and every like holiday season, like the fight gets a little harder because there's like the camaraderie and merriment and like cheers and fucking I used to go to Renaissance fairs and
the mead. I was at the Jersey Renaissance Fair like very recently, and they had way more types of mead than they have out here. It was like built into a forest and things like that. And you want to get into that mead and shit, but you just can't.
I want it in my life. It doesn't. It feels incomplete when you participate in things like that. You're like, I have a mocktail. Like, I'm holding juice.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you mad a little bit that you feel that way too, though. I don't know about you, but me, like, it makes me feel a little mad that I'm giving it that much control, that I like feel like I'm not participating because of one thing. But I don't know. Yeah. One of the vehicles we were discussing earlier was in fact a loss to drunk driving. So it's a necessary evil or a necessary good, I guess, as the case may be, to moderate. I guess it's just finding different ways to participate. I'm 34. I found things to do before I started drinking when I was 26. So the fuck was I doing? Just figure it out.
Figuring it out.
Yeah.
Your whole 20s is figuring it out.
Yeah.
I stopped smoking weed for about a month and a half, but drama, shit in my personal life, shit goes down. You're like this is gonna be rough, and I need like to help medicate.
Something to take the edge off.
And I have trouble sleeping at night enough as it is, so I have like gummies and stuff like that. So I'm definitely more responsible with how I use weed. Like I'll pop a gummy before I go to bed, and I go Betty bye. And then I did a guest spot on your show, and I brought a joint with me, and I was stressing out about other shit, and I was like, I fucking need to fucking chillax, because it's getting to, because I didn't want my own humor, my own set to get too inside baseball, if you know what I mean. Like, because as a comic, especially if most of the audience is comic brings their spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend, or whoever, and you're just like, all right, half of us know what the fuck's happening right now, so then you have the jokes on it, and you're like, do I want to take it there? And like half the people go, what? I don't want to do that. So I smoke the joint, go, just do your shit. You're never gonna see these people ever again.
Just
do your shit.
There's value to both, but it's definitely more so just keeping it general, because not everyone at the Oaks Tavern on a Monday night might know who Shmee and Schmuso is. But what can you fucking do? We find ways to de-stress, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I did a pre-recorded like PSA on the first episode. I don't know if you saw it. I was talking to Christina DiBiase, and her mental breakdown was creepy dudes. And this was before that incident.
Oh, so that's why the Do Better clip.
That's why the Do Better clip came out, because I was like, I need to like reinforce this a little bit, because like at the time it was fresh, and my conversation with her had nothing to do with any of that, but I don't want her to like catch any of the smoke. I don't want extra shit getting piled on. You know how the game of telephone works. Just like things get out there, and I don't want anybody catching the smoke or whatever. So I'm like, okay, let's do a general like, hey guys, there's no union or protections for any of us in this particular line of work, so we got to look out for each other when shit like this goes down. And we just have to be good. It doesn't seem hard.
It doesn't seem that hard.
And yet, these incidents aren't isolated, and it happens, and nothing is done about it.
People will always surprise you with how they're willing to not be good.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Any community, they'll always shock you.
Yeah.
And maybe that's like pessimistic. I try to stay fairly optimistic and person forward, but no, I mean, people are always willing to be shitty. There's always at least a few.
Despite your sunny disposition.
Yeah, you can try. Yeah, as much as I just rainbow the place up, but yeah.
You opened with like the darkest shit. I'm fucked up. I laugh at dark humor. I love it. I love it. But like you're the host and you're steering the ship and like we're doing dark puns and shit like that.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, give it up for Jeffrey. He's hanging in there, but not from the ceiling. Like I had to take it there.
And I appreciate it.
Yeah, I had to take it there.
I feel like that's part of my like show id when I produce a show or when I just even like do someone else's show. Is just to like drag it down to not drag it down, but just like kind of put people in that space, in that sort of bubble. Like I talk about this with my therapist is like when I'm doing comedy, I often think of like these Norm Macdonald clips from the 80s doing comedy in New York. And he's always I feel like been fully Norm Macdonald, at least in the versions of it we can see in recorded video.
Yeah.
And he's just like doing his thing and he's doing it to amuse himself, which he always was apparently. But you can just hear like a smattering of giggles, but mostly groans. And I feel like that's what I want. That's what I like. That's the juice to me.
Well, that's
like
still a reaction.
Yeah, it's still a reaction, but it's like a tasty reaction. Yes, I can have like a room full of laughs, but I don't think that's like my energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm not quite black enough to be Kevin Hart, but I'm working on it.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, it's just like kind of like put people in that space. They're like a lot of my more canned bits because I am terrible about making space to write and putting myself out there for shows. As much as I want to do this, it's just difficult for me to keep plugging away and find new material. There's a lot of like those TikTok comedians that seem to be spewing out new shit all the time.
Yeah.
And it's the social media of it. They're showing you their best and everything like that. And the times they bombed are not on video. But nevertheless, it's like a few of the canned bits I have. I'll talk about like just like trying to get people on board with this because they probably have had on some level these dark thoughts,
Yeah.
Like I use the comparison of the Liv Moss on the Taco Bell bag a lot in a bit just because who hasn't probably in LA hate fucked some Taco Bell at 3 a.m.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I feel like it's part of the process out here, especially if you're in the service industry or anything like that. So just finding the common ground with these people, just making it less something to be afraid of. Because I think mental health still has that thing. We have our whole social media animated campaigns and things like that, and all these brands and all the, what is it, Rumi Kapoor or something like that.
I've heard of that name before. Yeah.
Just like all the beautiful poetry romanticizing sadness, but I feel like people are still very uncomfortable with it. I feel like they're very uncomfortable with mental health as much as they want to say they're on board with it. Like the lady with the poster board doing her 5 minutes of protest downtown. It's kind of like that. It still feels very performative. I'm not saying I want any sort of like handout or pat on the back, but just like don't be full of shit. You know what I mean? And so it's my way of not being full of shit. I guess it's my way of expressing my honesty.
Right, and it's a scary. It can be sometimes a scary subject to cover because it's very real. Yeah. But it's also a very relatable subject where we live in this world, and the kids coming up now are even more vulnerable, I would say, to having problems with their mental health because there's filters. I'm not getting 1 million views on TikTok. Like, dude, I hosted a show at Flappers a long time ago. They got some guy whose only credit was TikTok. Had like 44,000 followers or something. There was 12 tickets sold. Like, this is bullshit. Yeah. The numbers it's all bullshit. It's all a lie. And it comes down to, who's in town that night. And, if the audience, if you have a lot of views, how many of these people are unemployed teenagers that can't, afford to like go out past 9 o'clock, or go out at all if they're sheltered, that's their entertainment, the phone.
Yeah, and I hate to sound like a bitter old man, but just like, like you're saying, adults are probably not watching these people just kind of scream into their little video diary, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like in every case, not general vlogging, but just like I don't know, that kind of internet bit doesn't always translate.
Yeah, it doesn't translate because there's the comics that are like funny on the internet for like 20 minutes, and they get a couple of their friends to like fill like an hour and a half. Yeah, and it's like, oh, you're selling tickets. Great, cool, that's good. I support that.
Yeah.
But, you're not selling as a comic. You're selling as this personality. Like, this is for the meet and greet. It's not for the jokes. It's for the allure of like, oh my God, I met this person who I've been looking at on my phone for X amount of time.
Yeah.
And now they're here. And then what?
Yeah, it's the inevitability
Yeah.
of like when Hawk Tuah Girl produces a comedy show at Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club.
Yeah, she's already got a podcast, and it's huge. And it's only a matter of time before people don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah,
It's a micro trend.
Yeah.
It's like the old hat got old really fast. It's like, and there's so many things that different people pay attention to that these micro trends, like they get huge for like a little bit. Like, oh, we love the baby hippopotamus. We love Mudang, but how long until we don't give a shit about Mudang anymore? Until she's a grown-up big girl, and then she's not cute anymore. It's like
there's
we
gonna
don't.
be some attack or something like
Yeah,
that.
there's gonna be something
over.
horrible that.
Yeah.
Oh no, the attack on Mudang. You mean?
No, I mean like hippopotami or whatever the fuck are just very, from what I understand, can often be aggressive creatures. I don't want to put out Shark Week misinformation or something like
Yeah.
that. So do your own research on hippos. Fact check, folks. But yeah, I don't know. I've just looked up too many videos late at night of like hippopotamuses.
Hippopotami. I think.
Hippopotami.
I think
right.
that's the one.
It feels
Yeah.
right. Biting like an alligator or some shit like that. And
Yeah.
centralized content, but nevertheless, I don't know. I'm afraid of anything with teeth that lives in the water. Not a big fan. It's not for me.
Have you had that irrational fear as a child? Like you're in the pool, I'm like, oh my God, there's a shark in
Of
here.
course.
Like,
Yeah. And then of course in the 90s you're growing up in the heyday of like when those things to be afraid of that are related to water experiences are barely not new. Like Jaws was still a thing. They're still making Jaws sequels. The Tim Curry It was coming out, so fuck having a shower.
Yeah.
Anything. Just any of that. It was not a good time for water. It was some anti-water
Or no,
propaganda.
what's the scene in Nightmare on Elm Street where Johnny Depp's taking a bath and then he just gets like fucking sucked into the tub?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think Nancy almost gets attacked in the bath. Johnny Depp actually gets he gets gooped in the bed.
He gets gooped in the bed, yeah.
That's, I think, the last kill of the movie, I want to say. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the Jason moment, the Jason jumping out of the lake.
Yeah.
Another thing, in the water. Just enough, make water safe again.
Make water safe again?
Yeah.
They're putting chemicals in the water that are turning the friggin' frogs gay, man.
I'm here for it. I'm here for the Gotham City supervillains. I felt for a long time like we need more like, and I guess it's kind of been satisfied, so be careful what you wish for, but more like domestic terrorism, just some good old-fashioned American red-blooded.
Yeah, good old Timothy McVeigh.
Yeah, I just think just like bring it home. If we're so worried about jobs staying in the United States, then just bring the terrorism home.
Yeah, there was that thing in the debate where Trump was like, "They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats," and like, here's where the joke's on you, buddy. It's American citizens doing it.
Yeah,
it's not fucking.
And frankly, let them eat the dogs. Like I actually, speaking of which, I had one of my childhood fears. I had the water thing, but since I was a kid, I've always had the fear because of the Sandlot. That someday I'm going to be walking past a fence and there will be an angry dog that will heave over a fucking fence and chase me. And the other day that finally happened. I've been using the lovely LA public transportation system, and I was just walking, listening to my little "Hey There, Delilah" or whatever the fuck, just minding my own business, smoking my cigarette, and suddenly out of the corner of my ear I hear a little growl, and I'm being chased by a fucking Rottweiler who's just like chilling outside.
Oh man.
Yeah, full whiplash moment, or not whiplash, wipeout moment, just being chased like a block until it just got bored or realized I don't have that much meat, or something like
wow.
that. But yeah,
it got tired. He was like, "Oh, this one's too lanky. That's not.
Yeah,
it's not going to be a meal for me."
It makes me wonder if I've just like dabbled in the crystals too much and I'm just manifesting this shit now, or like what is going on?
Where are you on that, by the way? Because I make fun of that a lot, and yet like part of me like kind of half believes in that type of shit.
I feel like I believe in it most of the time. I drift in and out of it. I think the thing is like both respect everyone's thing, but also make fun of everyone's thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So like, as long as one thing's fair game, everything's fair game. I dabble a little bit in the witchcrafty shit, because when I first got into that, it was. It's kind of like just like a self-care sort of ritual, if you will. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like the person who told me about it at first described it to me as like the Church of You. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like it's kind of the same shit that people. There's not much difference between like witchcraft and an Instagram girl. It's just like living intentionally
I
and
can
just
see
like
that.
living with intention, just like
Yeah.
kind of making plans for yourself. And affirming yourself, you know what I mean? And a little bit of it is like pretty rocks and stuff, but honestly, when it comes to the pretty rocks, I just like having pretty rocks. That's all it is. But
I have a pretty negative relative, and he speaks very negatively about himself and like the world's against him, and like nothing seems to be working out, but it's because he's putting that out there.
Yeah, self-talk is very important.
Yeah,
that's one thing. Leading up to my suicide attempt in 2018, I just was making non-stop suicide jokes, but I like also like would often conceptualize it in my head as like, wow, these people are like really laughing. I'm never funnier than when I really want to die. This is great for me. So it's like kind of like that. It's kind of like the Hemingway of it. Like if I have to keep drinking or I won't produce great art. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like that's the most pernicious thing about depression is it like makes you think that you can't live without it in some ways. Like you don't want to take the pill because oh no, what if I change as a person? That kind of thing. But yeah, I feel like it does. It feeds that.
That makes me think of the late Chester Bennington and like how, you know, all of those lyrics are so sad and so depressing, and yet you're a multi-platinum award-winning artist, you know, how big houses, flying private, you know, all this money, and yet the battle persists up here, you know? It's very interesting how, especially with emo bands, like it's all fucking sad. It's, you know, it's very... and I listen to that stuff too. I love My Chemical Romance and like Hawthorne Heights, and you know I'll lump Evanescence and Korn into that world too. Yeah, a little bit. And you know they embrace that. Look at me, my goosebumps are going up. The hair on my arm's going.
Chester's just running a finger along your arm.
Oh yeah, it's that sadness persists, and it's like, oh, I have to keep feeling sad to produce this great art, you know, and how do you keep the sad? Because it's like, oh, you got the nice cars, you got the record deals, you got all the nice clothes and all this cool shit, and somewhere inside you're like, it's not enough.
Yeah,
you know?
It was a big thing for me actually when I was first getting into comedy. I was when I first tried anything like this, I was doing the Second City in Chicago, and right after I started is when the Robin Williams things happened.
Oh, fuck that. Crushed me.
Yeah, I don't put a ton of stock in like celebrity deaths and shit, but yeah, it crushed me because I was just looking at this and that's like the pair like growing up with Mrs. Doubtfire, Patch Adams, Aladdin, just anything in the 90s, Fern Gully, and it's the most enthusiastic, like bouncy performer, the most like happy looking guy, one of the most successful guys, but then you just look at that and you're starting comedy school because like people, you know, say, hey, you're kind of good at this, you should try this, and you think maybe it'll help, but then this happens and you're like, well, fuck, if it didn't work for this guy.
Right.
Like, this guy, specifically this guy. Like, it's like finding out Jim Carrey's super depressed or something if that suicide ever happens. Which I always feel like we're kind of a day away from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, maybe he'll, like, go to the premiere of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and it'll so be so unabashedly terrible that he won't be able to take it anymore.
Oh,
Not
no.
that I'm trying to will this into existence, but take that, Carrey. It's, but, yeah, I feel like what is enough? You know, it's kind of like finding what's enough. I think that's kind of like why I'm sort of rebooting, too, why I plan to get out of LA and restart comedy in, you know, New York. I'm planning on moving to Jersey, probably.
You want to move to Jersey?
Yeah, I'm thinking about Jersey. I've got a person out there. I've got a potential, you know, foundation to build, and it's only about 30 minutes by train into the city, and just kind of see what that community's like. But it mostly has a cheaper cost of living and things like that. And yes, everywhere is more expensive, but like, goddamn, does it make it like it exacerbates the problems of depression and stuff like that when you're just trying to live.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. And the stage ain't going anywhere, man. You can essentially do what you're doing anywhere. Yeah. You know, it's just, you know, people tend to not do these things in, like, you know, Kansas or, you know, Nebraska or wherever, because there's fucking nothing.
Yeah, they're
out
tilling
there.
the corn. They're doing their thing out there, you know?
Yeah, it's because they're afraid to be pioneers. I lived in Oklahoma for a year and a half. There is a scene out there. It's small and it's mighty, and they got their little community, and, you know, they're exactly in the middle, and the road gigs is where the money's at. So you could drive, you know, 6 hours down to Austin. You could drive to Missouri or Arkansas, and there's clubs out there. There is money to be made.
Yeah, you got to zig some zags a little bit.
It can happen. It's just the whole thing with LA being what it is. You know, we get paid in weed and chicken sandwiches, and it's like, oh, why fucking come out here? It's like, you could have just stayed where you were.
Yeah.
And get your chops over there. It doesn't have to be, it's because it's not sunshine and rainbows in LA. People come here thinking it's like this dreamscape, and it's quite the opposite.
No, it's quite a hellscape, really.
Yeah.
It's you're just hell-bent for sadness, really. It's
hell-bent for sadness, yeah. God damn.
But I don't want to sound jaded, though. I didn't move out here to do comedy or anything like that, and it is kind of what you put into it. But, there's a lot of good things about the LA comedy scene. I feel like it's, it's like you're saying, it's kind of that band together militia, but it comes with that sense of community too.
Yeah.
It's like, it's very friendly, and there is something to be said for like doing the bar shows and just kind of like meeting other people, booking other people, and then booking in turn, just like kind of doing each other's show and doing
spot
the support
trading
thing,
yeah.
and just like being supportive, and having that level of community. But it's kind of like just trauma bonding at the end of the day.
Kind of,
It's often trauma bonding. So there's like good and bad to it. I didn't come out here to do comedy, so it's not like I expected immediate fireworks or something.
Right.
And there's still many ways I intend to put myself out there before I go. But I think just like on a base level, you gotta have a good friend of mine who lives in Pennsylvania now, is a huge LA proponent and was never not able to afford it, so didn't have any of those problems. Very career driven. She's a designer over at Comcast in Philly, and she just has the 3 points of happiness sort of thing. You gotta have a good home life, you gotta have a good love life, and you gotta have a good work life.
Yeah.
And if any of those things are thrown out of balance, then it kind of fucks with the others immediately. And I tend to think that's true.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of hoping, improve the home life in my own way. More power to the people who can huff it or want to huff it, but just kind of like fix that and see what happens. It's I discovered over time you can't like expect sweeping improvement. It's just like small incremental improvement, and therapy's helped with that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's not to be underrated. I know everyone says get in therapy, and we like to be very mental health forward, but it really does like help. You know?
It really does. It 100% does, because it's also expensive. It's not the cheapest thing. If you can't afford it, or if you have trouble trying to find a way out, there's programs out there for like low income folks. There's like therapy. There's therapists that don't take insurance. Because what's a couple $100? If you're gonna be dead anyway, you're not gonna be taking it with you. And you can regain your abundance back. It's time that you're not going to get back.
Yeah, it's just time spent miserable. Yeah. You often like think like, oh, I'm miserable at 21, and then you're thinking about that when you're 31, and then you think about that when you're like 41. It's like
you're like,
gonna
oh
be a
shit,
cycle
where's the
if
time
you don't try to
gone?
break
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like. I often think about this moment in BoJack Horseman, if you've watched it, where he's like, where does the time go? And he just immediately takes a swig of alcohol, and it's just like, while he can't remember something that he told to his friend, or like a memory that they shared together that you see within the same episode. And it's just kind of like that. You can lose it to the coping, you can lose it to the depression. It's just time sucking.
Yeah.
It's just a vortex if you let it be. So, you gotta do what you can that's not like that,
I feel like the East Coast would make one stronger.
I think so.
Yeah, because I lived in New York for a little bit. I went to theater college, if you can't tell. Did we go to AMDA? Did you go to AMDA as well? Did you?
Am I an AMDarian? No.
You're not? Why did I feel like you were?
No, I'm not a college boy, actually. No.
Oh, shit.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I went to theater college. I'd spent a semester in New York, and I lived there, and I felt like it just beat the shit out of me. It reworked my work ethic, and I feel like it made me tougher as a human being.
Yeah.
Because like you have the elements out there, you have real winter out there, unlike here, like the comedy out there I feel like is better because the comics that I look up to are based out of New York and they're quicker. They're not doing this fucking lame, like, oh, dating's weird. Oh, I'm going to do a boring fucking story about my roommate or whatever.
What do you think it is about New York that drives the bits to be quicker like that? What do you think it is that drives that form of comedy?
I feel like New Yorkers just don't have time for bullshit. It's the city that never sleeps. They're a little bit more perceptive on where the joke is going to go. Like, I feel if somebody asks you, like if someone in customer service, if someone is being asked a dumb question, I feel like the service goes like, yeah, it's over there, but I didn't complete my question. Like, no, I know what you're going to say. Like, that's how locked in they are. Whereas I feel like people out here, they like fake listen more because they take it all in and then they go, oh, it's my turn to speak. Whereas New Yorkers will go like, I know what you're saying, and then they're just quicker about it. And I feel like they're quicker, they're tougher, they're more resilient. Whereas LA, it's a little bit more comfortable. Granted, the sunshine and all that. Like people are, the show can happen late. Meh, it's whatever. That shit pisses me off.
Yeah, no timeliness.
I hate when shows start late.
Yeah.
Granted, like a 15-minute grace period, whatever, shit happens, parking,
Yeah.
But if we're talking like, the show was supposed to start at 8 o'clock and it's 8:30,
Yeah.
I got places to be, dude.
Yeah, there was a show that I was in attendance for recently, and they were just waiting for like a guest to show up who was just going to watch, and it was like supposed to be starting at like 8:15, and it was like well into 9:30 before it actually got going. It was that was something, but
was it at the Comedy Chateau? They're famous for starting late.
No, I've ventured away from the Comedy Chateau a little bit.
Yeah, you're smart.
Just yeah, I don't know. I know you have to pay your dues and whatever, but just like so much of it just seems so predatory. It's like I know they have the 2-drink minimum is a famous 2-drink minimum for a reason, but it doesn't really pay a whole lot. It feels like to do venues where you're only just like feeding their bar.
Yeah,
like that's it. Like no disrespect to the bar staff. I'm a bartender before I'm a comedian. But,
right, for sure. Yeah, we have to shout out the bartenders. I think you shouted out Hannah like fucking 5 times.
Yeah. That's like a recurring bit at this point.
It's just that little hole in your heart that's just like, I know where she's at. Be nice.
Yeah, I don't remember what the hell that started with, but just that's been a recurring bit for like 5 months now. Just like give it up for Hannah. In fact, just everyone at home, give it up for Hannah.
Yeah. There's only 6 subscribers as of right now.
As of right now, but by election day.
Yeah.
It's gonna be down to 3 after this episode. They're like, Jesus Christ, he wasn't joking. This shit's miserable right now.
Yeah. Fuck.
This guy is Dear Abbying as fuck right now with those gloves on.
Do you feel like music kind of helps prevent mental breakdowns, like positive vices? Like we mentioned the emo bands a little bit earlier. Does that kind of help?
I think so. I think there's something to be said. I mean, different strokes for different folks, but you're a very musically inclined dude.
Yeah.
I think it does for me.
I'm very angry.
Yeah. And oftentimes, like when I was like, it just drives back to being in high school and being an angry teen and discovering the System of a Down record discography. And just like you hear the anger, you feel seen, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it does feed my mood a little bit. Sometimes, getting back to the woo-woo magical shit, sometimes like the music I'm listening to will seem to say exactly something that I'm thinking about, in a very random fashion. But I think it speaks to feelings, especially because I do karaoke as a side hustle on the to the other side hustles. And
so many.
Yeah, it's mostly you just kind of collect jobs at this point. It's the Pokemon Go that no one acknowledges they're playing.
Jesus.
Yeah, just walking listlessly through Escape and just like.
What are some of your go-to karaoke songs in no particular order?
I'm one of those fucks with like a list, so I could give you some just because you have to when it's for work. But you know what? I feel like I'm not alone if this is an LA-based podcast and having a karaoke list. But usually I'll go for like Violent Femmes. I do go for a lot of emo stuff, so I go for like Cute Is What We Aim For, a little Fall Out Boy.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I like those old swingy songs,
Yeah.
System of a Down, just kind of anything, just kind of. It's part of my job in that context to just kind of feed the mood, and they expect you to make like an appearance, kind of like in a lounge singer way.
You kind of got me on that Diablo Swing Orchestra.
Yeah,
that was
I love
really
that.
interesting music. I like that shit.
Yeah,
I hadn't heard of it before. I'm like, what is this? There's just so much going on.
Sometimes I'll pull out my Spotify and just like they have gotten so good at the personalized weird shit and mixing that I just like type in random words just to see if something pops up. So that was under swing metal.
Swing metal?
Yeah, swing metal.
Interesting.
There's a lot of bands like them, actually.
Huh.
Not in the same instrumentation or anything. Yeah, and I got into that. So one of my Pennsylvania friends, good buddies, is a metal guitarist and an acoustic metal guitarist, actually.
Acoustic metal guitarist. Shit.
And he's very talented. But his name is Shane Anthony. But he turned me on to this band called Igor with 3 R's.
Igor with 3 R's?
Yeah, it's a French metal group, and they do non-vocal metal.
Okay.
So it's all instrumental. I mean, they'll occasionally have like vocal utterances and shit like that that they'll remix within it. But
like chanting?
Yeah. I'll send you some. Yeah, kind of like a chanting thing. I'll send you some of their stuff. I think one of them is called cheval, which is just French for goat.
For goat? That's hilarious.
Yeah, but it's interesting stuff. I think music does feed that. You know, sometimes I'm feeling that kind of way. You know, you just want
Yeah.
like that kind of like I'm in an episode of Felix the Cat mood. You know, or like I won't let myself listen to Nine Inch Nails when I'm depressed.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
that's horrible. Or Death Cab for Cuties.
Yeah.
Because it'll feed the wrong side of that mood a lot.
Yeah,
and then you, like,
yeah.
can go from like having a bad day to being like this is a bad day.
I've
you know?
definitely had like one of those breakup days where I'm like, I need to listen to something now to help me get over this.
Yeah, your hair is everywhere.
Yeah,
You know, just
because tonight will be the night that I will, like I gotta fucking get it out of my system,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. I need to feel like I want to die this way.
Yeah.
Not the way that I feel. I wanna,
Alone I Break by Korn, and I'm just like, this is the saddest fucking ballad ever.
Yeah.
And they really fed into that, which, speaking of karaoke, we've got Riff 182 locked in the books.
Yeah,
that's going to be
another thing
fun.
that I have coming up as your show. In
Yeah,
December,
Riff 182
December 30th.
Yeah.
Coming up one last comedy, one last karaoke before the New Year. It's
New
gonna be
Year's
fun.
Eve, I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah.
And I was trying to, because that show was so unhinged and so much fun at the same time. I feel like, fuck it, if we want to like do 5 minutes of bullshit and then, you know, sing to our heart's content, you know, because I did that show in May to sort of like sign off for a while because I was taking a little production break. I was very stressed out, just I'm like, let's just fucking riff, man. No stakes. And I felt like that was the least stressed out I've ever been.
Yeah,
for
it was just
doing a
chill.
show. It was just no stakes, and I have to think of every show like that, like because I'm very punctual, and when half my talent aren't in the room 10 minutes before the show starts, I start to get a little anxious.
Yeah, I
And
understand people have stuff going on, but I feel the same way.
I have to let that go.
Yeah.
It's a flaw of mine that I have where I have to just let that shit go and let people live their lives. I don't know where anybody's coming from. I don't know how far everyone lives. You know,
Yeah,
everyone's
there
on
could
a
be
different
closed ramp
schedule.
or something.
Yeah, there
It's
could be
anything, it's
there could be a
anything.
big fucking truck overturned on the highway for all I know. And it's like I have to let that go because I'm always an hour early to shit. Because I know if I'm told that I have to be somewhere, I'm fucking there.
Yeah,
you know?
I've always been trained like that too.
Yeah.
Just like growing up, I worked with my family a lot, and it was always like you have to be somewhere event ready, which is 15 minutes before then. If you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. That was like
Yeah.
always the thing for us growing up. So
Oh,
like,
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've grown up with that, but I think it helps. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's like almost healthy. Is just like being that ready.
Yeah.
That level of stress is okay. But you know, yeah, I'm trying to let shit go too as far
Yeah.
as that goes. Like when I was first starting to book shows again, I had like an experiment with this brand I actually had pertaining to mental health a few years ago.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but I was doing those for a while, and I was trying to both produce and host at the same time for myself, and it was just a huge fucking mess.
Oh, yeah.
But when I started producing shows again at the Oaks, I used to sort of like almost internally take it personal when a comic would drop out or something like that. But you
Yeah.
know, you realize pretty quickly that other people have lives, and you just have to kind of
Yeah.
let it be.
And
know?
you can hit people up at the last minute. Like you were one of my last minute people for the last Riff show.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this guy dropped out because he can't get work covered or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't take it personal. And I'm like, oh, wait, there's a comedian every 10 feet
Yeah.
in this town.
Yeah,
I
it's
could,
easy to fill it
I,
again.
could-
It's
I could
not
just
gonna-
reach and do it. Like I have my alternates that I have in the back of my head.
Yeah.
And there's like people in the DMs like, oh, book me on the show. Yes, but like, wait your turn. There's only like so many spots that
Yeah.
me as one individual can go, and like everybody's out here trying to do this.
Yeah.
You know.
And honestly, I get so precious about it. Like, it's like pertaining to Let It Go. It's like, it's not always going to be the show that you think it's going to be exactly, but I do try to orchestrate that. So like sometimes I like have people reach out to be on the last show, and you know, I won't necessarily have a spot for them, or I won't necessarily want to give them a spot on the next one that I have, just because you know, it doesn't necessarily suit the vibe or like
Right.
anything like that. But you know, I had to learn to let that go too. You know,
Yeah.
'cause you can curate as much as you want, and you can try to control as much as you want, but ultimately none of us has any control over
Right.
anything.
That's another problem I've got is that I'm a control freak. You see
Yeah.
me, I'm doing all this shit all by myself just
Yeah.
because like I could, even if I had the money to like have somebody on the ones and twos or like, you know, have a studio space, I'll still feel like super uneasy. Like if I have because the successful podcasts are like the ones that have like a group. It's like a team effort, you know? I fucking don't have that. I don't have that trust
Yeah.
with anyone. Not
Well, there's
even
something
like
to be
the
said for
closest
doing
people.
it for yourself too.
Yeah.
Like if you watch those old the Robert Rodriguez movies, all of his special features are like, okay, here I am doing the score. Okay, here I am doing the shooting.
Like he just kind of has his hands in everything. So I think it like almost makes you better at doing it when you get to the team setting if you have the ability to do everything. You know, you have if something goes wrong or like if they have to step out for a second or anybody, I think it's almost good to like stressfully want to have control at least over your own shit.
Yeah.
Unless you can't. Like
right.
In some cases where you can't, like talking about those old shows that I did a long time ago, just like I literally couldn't be on the microphone and announcing stuff to people at the same time as leaning all the way over here and adjusting buttons and knobs and shit. Yeah. So I don't know. It's all letting stuff go. It's all finding the healthy amount of something, moderation. You know.
I had opened up. I had a rotation of co-hosts and no names, but like one of which kind of like broke my trust, and that's was like, oh fuck, I opened up and I got hurt. Now no one gets to be let in. And I was like, oh no, I'm going to do it all by myself again. And then it just became harder.
To do it, you mean? To
like fucking reach out and have trust in someone else. I'm like, oh, they're going to fuck me over somehow. I'm like, oh, I can't.
Yeah, you crumpled up the paper so much. It's like it's going to tear if you try to write on it.
Yeah, and this was someone that I thought like, hey, she's going to be here. She's going to come through. And it's like, oh, I couldn't get a babysitter. Great. Don't hire people with kids. Like, fuck. And like it's squashed. The beef is over. It doesn't exist anymore. But I was just like, fuck, I don't want to do this anymore. I give up. And then people go, and the people that were reassuring me, no, don't give up, are the ones that want to like get booked on a show. It's like, no, you were the only one that put me on stuff. And I'm like, if I'm the only one, that sounds like a you problem, man. Yeah. Like, the guy can't do the same stuff over and over again.
For other people either, you know?
Yeah, God.
I'm trying to learn that too. Just so many lessons.
Right. So, and there's givers and there's takers. You know, you find out who the takers are. Yeah. And there's only one way to find that out. It's like, oh, this person's pretending to be my friend because I have something to offer.
Yeah. Yeah, and you gotta test drive the car.
And it's not like from a genuine place. And I should have known better because I grew up here. And I'm like, this is the entertainment capital. Yep. People in any industry will just use you. And I'm like, oh, you're of no use to me anymore because I've elevated and I don't need you now. It's like, oh, so we can't be friends and hang out? Yeah. And it's like, what?
Yeah, I didn't realize this coffee was predicated on what you need. You know?
Fuck, man.
I thought you just needed a coffee. Maybe even just wanted a coffee. That would have been nice.
Yeah. It's tricky, man.
Yeah, there's like a few dates I've had where I've gone out on here and it was just like, oh, you were talking to me about cocaine at the outset of the date because you just wanted me to order it and now you've disappeared. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Cool.
Or you just want me for the connections I have, whether that is cocaine or whatever, you know, or anything else. God.
Yeah, I just ruined myself. Just like people are going to be coming up to me after they watch this and be like, so where can I get that Coke?
Oh, dude, I don't even touch the shit. But like the way I am on stage, I'm like, oh, this guy definitely has drugs. And I'm like, no, I don't. Yeah. You know, I very much don't. Like someone walked up to me after a set and half the set was about like me having IBS and going to the bathroom and saying like, oh, I have a Coke problem and I'm lying about it, you know, because it's embarrassing. And this chick was like, so do you have any? I'm like, no, that's a performance. That's not me.
Oh, was this at Elena's last show? Was that the thing? Is because I noticed people kept shouting cocaine stuff at you.
It wasn't that, although that has happened there before. It wasn't at Elena's show. This was at an open mic at Corbin Bowl. I was being fucking crazy. And this woman was like, so do you have Coke? I'm like, I don't. He's like, but you're a comedian. You should have Coke. I'm like, you're just assuming that I have Coke.
It's like that childhood magician box. It's like you get a little rubber chicken and a bag of Coke. Just expected of you.
What's that behind your ear? Oh, it's an 8-ball. Like, oh my God. That's the best.
Now, what's that behind your ear? It better be my money.
It better be my money. Good God. Yeah, dude, it's fucking, I should have known better walking into this. Like, because drugs are rampant. They're everywhere. And we're sober. And it's like, we're adjacent to it. Like, and you know, I don't drink and I get the drink ticket and I go, so I'm good for like a sugar-free Red Bull. Yeah. This is my value.
Stock up on my caffeine.
You know, I can fucking, you know, order a drink and succumb to these vices, and then I'm right back where I started. Yeah. You know, so I'm always around it. And so the itch is still there, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely still there, but I don't know. I think it's getting easier for me almost to just like, again, the FOMO bits are there, but it's like it's easier to not do it. You know, I usually just sometimes I'll just like remove the temptation and just give someone else my drink ticket or just anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, usually functions for me. But at least people just ask if you want cocaine when you get off stage, because usually they just like ask me if I'm okay. There's always at least one. Are you okay?
Yeah, are you
Are
okay?
you fine?
Yeah.
Like I host for King Trivia on the side, which is like a bar trivia company, and I did it to this place called Pinstripes in Topanga Mall, and it's a nice place, but it's new, so there was nobody in there. There were like 3 people. And so I'm just sitting here making suicide jokes and like reading. My friend had joined remotely to play on their phone, and their team name was Jizzy McGuire.
Jizzy McGuire.
And yeah, we used to play trivia together, and every time it was like a jizz pun. So like Jizzy Borden, Jizabeth Hurley, or Jizzy McGuire was the favorite.
Jizzy McGuire's
So
fun.
yeah, it was just like so small that everyone could hear everything that was going on. Like I was saying Jizzy McGuire 7 times to a table of parents that were playing. 2 parents with 2 small, like baby infant, barely able to wear a dress and walk around.
Oh, they're not going to remember that. They're not gonna...
Or it'll be their first word. You never know. But I got an "Are you okay?" from that guy because I was just like sitting there being like, they have these little what do you call them? Canned bits that you read for advertisements in between. And they're like, you want to be famous? Join for King Trivia. We're hiring. And I'm just like, if you want to be famous, like I wasn't having a great day. I was just like, whatever you do, don't get a job with King Trivia.
Oh,
this
no.
is not going to lead you to fame or fortune. It's just going to make you be distracted in between every audition. That makes you think that because you're talking to people that you have somehow made it, but you will not. However, if you want to say questions in a bar, saddle up, you know?
And the "Are
Not
you
that
okay"
I dislike
people,
working for King Trivia.
the "Are you okay" people are very like, you guys don't know that this was a bit.
Yeah.
This is a comedy show.
Yeah.
And those groans that you were mentioning earlier, those are the people that are like, oh, I don't like this flavor.
Yeah.
You know, there's 31 flavors of this whole thing. You got a bunch of different, types of humor. And like, those are definitely the people that had like happily married parents and like, that Leave It to Beaver, like fucking
Yeah, the nuclear
white,
family.
white picket fence. Like, oh, nothing's wrong. The dad's gay in the closet. It's like they have problems just like you and me, but they don't like express it.
Yeah, and they have problems they don't even realize. Like even Rock Hudson was fucking gay.
Yeah,
Like, they don't know.
yeah.
They don't know. He was banging Doris Day on the screen, but he was gay as shit. Yeah, but yeah, they just aren't willing to. It's what they the flavor is wrong, But
Yeah.
I think I've only had that problem one show that I booked where like I kind of didn't realize that I booked mostly anxious or depressed people. So everyone wound up talking about therapy and stuff like that. And
Oh,
just
that was
like
the whole
if it
through
wasn't,
line.
yeah, it wound up being a through line that everyone kind of stuck to. But you can't plan everything super well. Again, just letting things go.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a comic, another producer friend that was like, "Oh, I booked this comic," and then another comic was saying like, "Oh, this one's like transphobic, homophobic. Like, I don't want to do a show with this person." And then it's like, I didn't know. The booker didn't know, and it was just all for like networking purposes.
Yeah.
It was like he had to change the lineup because one person had their feelings hurt and had to get like catered to.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's like, okay, we want to create these spaces so people are like all right to perform and all that, but also like be offended. If you can't hack it, then you can't bear to do the show, or then just don't watch that comic's 8 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, just go do something else.
Go
Grab a
walk
cigarette,
outside.
go pee,
And if everybody else walks outside, then that's his fault or her fault or whatever.
Yeah. I had the same thing happen to me once where I guess I won't name names, but there was this comedian that I particularly liked. He has this bit where he's just kind of playing an instrument and telling bad puns in between it in a funny voice. And I guess over the around the 2016 election time, he just like kind of got real Trumpy on Facebook and was posting all this stuff.
I know
whatever
who you're
the
talking about.
2016 equivalent of. Yeah, you probably know who I'm talking about. But
I know
his,
who you're talking
his bit's
about.
very
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
But one of my other comedians who was on the same show got in touch with me and was like, "Hey, just wanted to let you know that." Was talking about all this shit on their Facebook. And honestly, I just kind of didn't give a shit, you know what I mean? Because it's not like their bit was doing that on stage.
Right.
I can see how maybe it would look bad to have certain types on a show, like, or whatever, but, you know, you can't let it get in the way of that, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
like the
feel
business you
can't.
do off the clock or whatever, that's your business.
Yeah, it's like the Looney Tunes thing of it, you're a wolf and you're a dog chasing the fucking wolf away from the sheep until 6.
Yeah.
And then you're done. And then you just go home and you be a different person. So be whoever you want to be on Facebook. I know the public sphere is important, but also just like why are you going out of your way to tell me about this? Like, why are you?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm sure it was ultimately well intentioned in addition to being nosy.
Someone's obsessed. Yeah.
But yeah.
Fucking stinks.
It's just too much expectation for people in there. I think there needs to be like a recalibration between it being safe for everyone to express their beliefs and having room for everyone's thoughts, and just also like learning to fucking deal with it.
Yeah.
That's a theme today, I guess. Just
First
learn
Amendment,
to fucking deal with it.
you know?
Yeah.
There was a comic I know that got fired from her job because they saw her on roast battle and they fucking fired her for it. I'm like, this is a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Like this
This has nothing to do with you.
Yeah. Like she wasn't talking shit about the job or anybody in relation. They just saw it and went, oh, this person's working for this company and she's saying like heinous things to someone who has nothing to do with any of it. Like, oh, we gotta let you go. What?
Yeah.
I'm off the clock. It was my business. It's like a teacher and having OnlyFans. It's like, why are you looking?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you looking?
Yeah, like that
It's
dude.
like-
Have you read about this guy who was working on X-Men '97? The showrunner, Bo DiMaio.
No.
He had like an OnlyFans as well, and working for Disney. I mean, he had it when he was hired and everything like that.
Uh-huh.
But apparently, they found out about the OnlyFans after the fact and decided like, oh, this is the moment to fire you because you don't align with our company values. Like,
I think it's just digging.
Yeah.
Like people just want to dig. They just want to find a reason to
like
create
the
a
smattering
rift.
of
Yeah.
the smattering of people who were fired, like James Gunn, for like tweets they made about God knows what in like 2008.
Yeah.
It's just digging. It's just people who like have nothing better to do.
Yeah,
They're professional
there was a
diggers.
temp game show host when Alex Trebek died. There was like a temp host for Jeopardy, and he said something fucking racist on a podcast 10 years ago. And it's like, okay, whatever, but it's also, that's not the person he is now.
Yeah.
And there was no, like, thought of like, oh, this is going to bite me in the ass in a decade.
Yeah.
Like,
because like you were saying, like in the 90s, how everyone said this is gay, it's super gay. It's like, not to evoke Louis C.K., but things meant different things in different contexts.
Right,
Yeah.
and,
honestly, like I say this as someone who like grew up with, multiple grenades being lobbed at me from every direction. You know what I mean?
I've never heard it put that way.
Yeah, just like that was one of the favorite words of any school bully. If they weren't like getting at me for reading John Grisham books in the hallway, it's the opposite of a glitter bomb. Is a grenade. That's the homophobic equivalent. Is like boom.
But I just got those more than anybody. But by the same token, I don't see room for crucifixion of using certain things, or at least not giving someone a chance to answer for their bullshit. You know what I mean? Like this could be my like John Tron fucking Watergate moment or something like that. But like
That's a deep
I think
cut.
just give people a chance to answer for their shit. Sure, dig that thing up if you really need to.
Yeah, if
but
you
like,
really
talk
wanna
to them
find-
about it. See what they say now.
Yeah.
And then
if they do it again after like if they're on CNN now after they did a podcast 10 years or Jeopardy now, and they say like if they drop an N-bomb on Jeopardy like for some reason or just whatever,
You're
then,
right.
Then by all means, but give them a chance to answer for their shit.
Yeah, there's like
have the conversation.
There's like a politician that like did blackface in the 80s. And it's like it was Halloween or whatever.
Yeah.
And they just dig shit up and like, okay, that was them 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah, versus like Paula Deen or something who was like
the
literally,
Paula Deen thing.
and that was like
Oh my God.
days before that came out too, or something like that, or months. Like the Paula Deen thing was like, now this is Paula. Now this is how she feels right now. Like, yeah, like growing up when I like, I'm sure I had some stupid shit that I said when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Because I grew up watching like Mind of Mencia, forgive
Yeah.
me, but yeah, watching that and just like that was kind of the humor of the time. It's like the
Hey, we
shock
didn't know he
humor.
was a joke thief.
Yeah,
We
we
didn't
didn't know he
know.
was a joke thief. I just knew he was 12 and he was loud and he
Yeah.
did the da-da-da thing.
The
Just
did-da-da
like-
thing. Oh,
yeah.
that could never happen again. That,
No.
like, it's so, because I'm a little autistic and I have like the whole bit on that, and some people are like, no, you're not. Oh yeah, he is a little. And like, can you say retarded? Like, I think I could say it once
Yeah, at least
with
once.
the context. I think I got my whole punch.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah, it's like you can use. It's like a one use per.
Yeah.
per
Right.
thing.
You know what I mean? It's as long because there's people that definitely overuse it. It's like, oh, R word, R word, R word. Like, oh, now you're just making it the punchline.
Yeah,
And now it's too much.
Yeah,
You know,
just driving into the
there's
ground.
a line. It's the same when black comics use the N word as the punchline, and it's like, it's funny.
Yeah.
But if it's every other fucking punchline, it's like, well, now you're just using it as a crutch.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, if it's linguistic, then fine. But if it's just the punchline is
Yeah.
that, then that's not really That's not really there. I feel like that's been making a big comeback too. Is retard. I feel like I hear that
it
way
is making
more.
a bit of a comeback.
I don't know if it's because the 2000s are so in vogue or something like that. It's like, oh, okay, we're gonna start wearing jellies and say retard.
Who's the group that did? Because the song was originally called "Let's Get Retarded in Here." Was it Black Eyed Peas? Yeah. And then they changed it.
Let's get it started.
Let's get it started. So. We're doing our best.
Yeah, we're trying.
We're trying to adjust, okay? Because it's ingrained in there.
Yeah, they were trying back then, too. I think it was like retarded, and then it slowly became faded. Oh, we're getting faded.
We're getting
like that
faded?
kind of thing, yeah. I never used it, but it was like...
Is faded
the same thing.
along in the camp of like slow or something?
Yeah, I think it's like faded, like you're fading your perceptions or something like that. You're getting a little hazy, something like that.
I thought faded was like, oh, you're stoned. Like, oh, I'm high. Or
yeah, that's what I mean.
Faded. Yeah, that's
right?
what I thought it meant.
Yeah.
Huh. Mm-hmm. The language is just changing all the time. Like,
it always is.
Oh, you can't say autistic. It's spicy. It's neurodivergent. Like, well, now that's too many syllables.
Yeah.
And then that's gonna get offensive. And then what?
Then we're just gonna say neuro because we're just like every day creeping toward NADSAT. It doesn't matter. Nobody knows.
What?
It's just provocative.
Yeah. Good God.
No,
what happened to us?
I don't know. No cap. Dead ass.
Oh, shit. I have Gen Z coworkers and they're saying stuff like that, and I'm trying to like code switch and relate, and they're like, "It's cringe when you say it." I'm like,
"It's cringe when you say cringe."
It's cringe when you say cringe. I'm like, I'm just trying to be on your level, dude. Like,
yeah. Like, and I grew up being bullied, but I honestly think that people should be bullied again. I think it's
a little bit.
I think it's the element of like.
Yeah.
No, I'm not about like the.
No, I agree. I actually
cyberbullying
agree with you on
or
that.
anything.
Yeah, because the online bullying, it's rampant because it makes people say even more heinous shit because we're not in front of the person.
Yeah.
But like, we need to like meet in the middle on the bullying stuff too.
Yeah.
Because it kind of, in a way, it kind of made you endure it a little bit more.
Yeah, it teaches you to endure. Like my sister has like. I don't know how many kids. Like after she had the fourth kid, I started saying 7 Koopa children when I was a kid, just because. Yeah, I played a lot of Mario Brothers 3, but she has 7 kids, ballpark, and she was bullied in high school. Apparently, she gives more like bully vibes, but anyway. So she decided to pull them and do like homeschool for their entire lives, and I was like, "You're living in Washoe City, Nevada, being homeschooled." Living with all your siblings and your coddling parents in that environment, what's going to happen to you?
Yeah.
What's going to happen to you? Like, not to say that there's like something wrong with homeschooled children, but you can't have that option for everybody.
Right.
And I think it's like you're saying about like how New York will like harden you.
Yeah.
I think you need something to harden you.
You need something. You need
an external stimulus
you need
to be
adversity.
because not everyone's going to be nice.
You need the rebuttal.
Yeah.
When someone calls you a
Yeah, exactly.
You need to have that
Yeah.
ready, so if someone's just maliciously coming at you and they don't know that you've got a few in the chamber.
Yeah.
I did the gun thing in the chamber. Okay. Is that a
No, you aim right here.
you aim right here. Is that a Freudian suicidal slip? I don't know. But like you have to be ready for that. And then because bullies they want that reaction. They want that. And then when you fire it back at them, it's like, well, that's why your mom and dad don't love you. And then they get hit with that. They go, they'll freeze.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, when I started having those locked and loaded in the chambers when my high school experience got better. Because they were like, oh, okay. Sure. And then the next time it was just kind of like, hey. Instead of the bullying, it was just like, oh, what's up? And we just like we parted ways, wholer as human beings,
Right.
I think So yeah, just like a gentle bullying, just a gentle bullying to make you learn that shit's not always nice. I think is necessary. Like when I was in high school, I was embarrassed to have one of my photos on MySpace. In retrospect, it was cringe, if you will. That I had a Polaroid that I had scanned of myself holding my cats, and that was super like. Not necessarily something you should do if you want to be popular in high school in 2004.
You got bullied for that?
A little bit, but now it's like
you
now you have like videos of like people like talking in cat speak to their cats and shit like that.
Yeah.
And,
my fur babies.
Yeah, and like just like screaming fucking syllables into the camera as they shove their phone at their pet, and I'm just like, you should have been bullied a little bit. Like somewhere along the line, someone should have like made fun of you for this, and then you wouldn't be doing this. Does it make me bitter? Maybe a little bit, but does it make what they're doing okay if I'm not bitter? No.
Right.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, a little bit of bullying is okay.
I think
a little bit of bullying is okay.
Yeah, a little bit of bullying is okay. And now Carson Daly with the weather.
Carson Daly with the weather. This has been great, dude. This was a fantastic episode. Tell the people what you're up to one more time before
All right,
we close it
so
out.
I've got The Last Show Gives a Shit. It's a charity show happening at the Oaks Tavern at 13625 Moore Park in Sherman Oaks
Doxed.
on Monday, Monday, November 25th. Come with a $5 donation. You're going to benefit some childhood cancer. There's going to be surprises. There's going to be good comics. There's going to be some musical comedy. There's going to be bits. I'm going to be on Riff 182 December 30th. Last
Hell
show
yeah.
of the year that you want to be at. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a little messy, but in a good way, and I'm running sound for that too. So,
Will there be shaving cream pie?
There will be at least one shaving
There will
cream
be
pie,
at
I
least
should
one
think.
shaving cream pie, yeah.
Yeah. If not, there may be a dog bowl involved, but I think I've discussed
Oh my
I've
God.
discussed some of what's going to happen with you in private, I think.
Oh, no.
In fact, I think it's fair to say that if you come see the show on the November 25th, Jake Bassey is responsible for what happens to people there.
Uh-oh. Dox me, bitches. You know where we'll be.
At 13625 Moore Park at 7:45 on November the 25th, which is a Monday, Pacific Standard Time.
Social security
That
number
one.
is...
867-5309.
Oh my God.
Online at shanecode.com.
867-5309. That's a deep cut. All right, that's been fun. That's been the mental breakdown. Okay, thanks. Die, everyone.